Hey, everybody.
What's up, everybody?
What's up, everybody? Welcome to this is not the Six Rings Kane show. This is just the college football landscape show brought to you by college football and whatever else, since we don't have any sponsors yet. What's going on, Manny? What's going on, Danny? How you guys doing? The Manny and Danny show.
Woo! I like it. That's got a nice ring.
The Manny and Danny show.
Listen, as long as Jock doesn't answer us or David, I think we're good.
Oh, well, that's fine. Then we're gonna be fine then.
Sorry, we're not part of the Miami Sports Break or whatever their show is.
Yeah, whatever.
Maybe Jock will pop in. You never know. It's still Jock standard time, so he's still got time to come in.
He will. He'll pop in eventually. Fashionably late, or unfashionably late. Anyways, we digress a lot, but we actually have a lot to talk about, man. A lot of things going on in the college football landscape, especially with the Miami Hurricanes and with the Florida Gators. Some coaching moves. The coaching carousel continues for both teams. I didn't want to say this yet, but let's be honest, man. Manny Diaz has finessed his way through this whole entire coaching change on defense. He's completely finessed the whole entire college football landscape by not firing a single person, yet his whole entire staff has changed. So call it what you want, but it's pretty damn brilliant, all right? The latest news, obviously, is Blake Baker decides to move on and go coach linebackers at LSU, which may be a good move for him. Listen, man, I hear he's a great guy and all, but he just didn't cut it here as defensive coordinator. Got stripped of his play call duties. So here we are now.
Kai, wrong show, sucker. Guess what? You're in timeout, homie.
I actually spoke to Kai to see if he wanted to come on the show, man. So he's probably busting your chops. About that one.
This guy can't even speak German, and he's a Bayern fan.
Unbelievable. Too bad I don't know anything about that crap. Anyways, so Barcelona, whatever. Again,
Liverpool. No, I'm kidding.
Oh man, Blake Baker again going to LSU, linebackers coach, and then the Kings turn around and hire Bob Shoop as a defensive analyst, which is a great move apparently, right? Comes from SEC country coach. Well, yesterday, listen to me. Last year he coached Michigan, the safeties. And apparently he was probably out of a job after Michigan let their defensive coordinator go. But prior to that, he was at Penn State, Mississippi State, Tennessee. Penn State, he led them to the number 2 defense in the country 1 year. Tennessee, I think, was number 36. And then you have Mississippi State, a top 10 defensive program. So it's nice to bring in a guy like that knows SEC football, Big Ten football, that could come in. Although I want to throw those to you guys because you guys might know better than me, I guess. What the hell does an analyst actually do on the program for the program?
Yo, what's up? I think from what I've always understood as an analyst, I think they are more number crunchers and they study trends of the defense. Now, as far as an analyst in season goes, my guess is they're probably going to break down tape and say, okay, Miami is, 6 for 13 for X percentage on third down, and this is what we can do better. I've noticed a lot more analysts, coming into the college football landscape. And I'll be honest, to me, like, sports are too much of a numbers game, whether it be baseball and Blake Snell has to get taken out after 80 pitches because his opposing batting average gets higher, or football has to do this. But, analysts are the way that the game is trending. So I'll be interested to see how, Miami implements this position.
Listen, top programs in the country do it, right? Every program, especially in SEC, in the SEC, does it. Before we get into anything else, I mean, this defensive analyst position, Manny, not only the defensive analyst position for Miami, but what you see in the SEC is analysts on the Florida Gator program, right? Let's say, just for instance, who is someone that, because I couldn't tell you who their analysts are, if they have any big names that are analysts, or how much it's made a difference for the program over in Gainesville.
I mean, listen, the whole part where when you talk about analysts, right? Like, I know Mullen has analysts on offenses on his offense. When it comes to the defense, it's all about Todd Grantham. Now, I don't know if he follows the whole analyst part.
Really quick, that's the only reason why I came in here, because
So bad. Did he get cut off by himself? He lost.
Yeah, that was not me. Hold on.
I thought
He's
Manny
coming
did
back now.
him dirty,
Nah.
but he's gonna get back
No,
on.
no.
I'm
There he is.
Yeah.
There he is.
Okay, sorry, my work Wi-Fi sucks.
You can't have, Ty, get it together, right?
Listen, yo, I'm not.
Bro, you are worse than freaking Dan Mullen trying to tell us
I'm
that he's
at
not gonna
work,
fire
bro.
Grantham.
Chill. I work at a park. Look at this. Look at my background. Like, all right, I only came here to say, because I heard the Blake Baker talk, because I'm watching while I'm sitting at the Tennesse Center. Todd Grantham sucks. The fact that he is still employed by the University of Florida makes me want to bash my head into a wall.
Amen.
That's all I want to say. Blake Baker sucks too, but y'all got lucky for that one, because obviously he was not going to fire him.
Listen, that might be a win for you guys next year against LSU. So there you go, man. You're welcome.
It will be. Hey, look, if Todd Grantham isn't fired by the time the season starts, I swear to God, I'm going to bash my head into a wall. That's all I came to say. I'm still going to be watching at Tennesse Center.
Get a helmet then. Get a helmet.
Peace out.
Safety first.
It's true. I'm actually a bit surprised by Todd Grantham still being there, but I know a couple guys left, right? Ron English is gone.
Yes.
The safeties coach,
Ron English and Torian Gray, both
right.
safeties and cornerbacks coach. So in a way, it kind of feels like it's the Miami situation where they use two guys on the defensive staff as scapegoats, right? And then it's like, okay, Blake, you can possibly stay, or I really don't know what the plan was, or maybe the plan all along was, listen, I'm going to end up leaving. Just go ahead and do these little changes here and there to satisfy the fan base, or unless you want to go ahead and bring some other individual analytics, right? And then I'll go ahead and leave once I can announce that I'm going to LSU. But the whole Florida situation, it feels like those two guys were used as scapegoats. They get fired. I know that we were really wanting to get Charlie Strong, and I believe some other big name, was supposed to come to Gainesville, but of course Urban Meyer gets hired in Jacksonville. He goes and hires his guys on staff, which was Charlie Strong, and I keep forgetting one other big name there that end up going to be part of the Urban Meyer / the whole team over there in Jacksonville. So that kind of puts back a little bit what Dan wanted. So he goes ahead and hires the guys that he considered his second tier. So he went ahead and hired a USF coach, which I've never heard of, and of course the analytics quarterbacks coach from Auburn. I forgot his name as well. Sorry.
But that's the point, right? I mean, who are these guys?
Yeah, but I mean, like they're known, right? I mean, they're known because of their history in the conferences and the history. They either worked with one another, or they heard their names from somebody that was just on staff. But it's never, this whole analytics thing, and I'm with Danny. Sometimes it's a numbers thing, right? But at the end of the day, the analytics shouldn't be the reason why you win or lose games. You win or lose games because of the way you coach your team week in and week out. You win or lose games by the way you call plays, all right? In crucial situations, on third down, when your third down defense needs to create a stop. This whole analytics thing only comes into effect, when all of a sudden you're down by 1 and you want to be a smartass and go for 2, right, to try to win it, but yet there's still 3 minutes left on the clock. That's when it costs you, okay? Like happened this past weekend with Coach LaFleur and the Packers. Like you go ahead and kick a field goal, leaving Aaron Rodgers on the sidelines on 4th and goal. That's just stupid. You were playing the analytics game, going for 2 drives before. You're going for the analytics thing, right? So those are things that, to me, analytics can cost you games. But again, like I don't really see much in it. I remember being on the practice field with Butch Davis 2 years ago, right? And we were getting ready to play FAU. Mind you, FAU has whooped our ass the last couple of seasons, okay? So he brought in extra individuals, just to have extra eyes that have paper and pen. And I looked at these guys. I'm like, I know they're not coaches. I know they're not grad assistants. So I consider them to be the analytics people. They're just writing down
Exactly what they were. Yeah.
every positive play that happened at practice. I saw them write it down, and that to me goes into the game plan that goes towards the game day plan. But listen, at the end of the day, we all know that this is Manny Diaz's last straw, right? Let's be honest here. All right. If it's not his last straw of putting his side of his defense together, you can't blame Blake Baker anymore. The man's gone. So, it's basically up to him. The same thing that happens with Dan Mullen. Dan Mullen is giving the Gator Nation another year of Todd Grantham, right? If this is unsuccessful, it's Dan Mullen's ass.
Yep.
It all falls on him. It doesn't fall on nobody else anymore. It falls on the coach Dan Mullen.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, yeah, this is put up or shut up time for Manny Diaz, and I think that's why. And I'm gonna say a couple things here that maybe some people won't agree with, but I know Jock won't agree with it because he's very adamant about not having a head coach the defense. But bottom line is that Manny Diaz showed you that he is an elite defensive coordinator, and if you bring in guys like Jess Simpson and make him an assistant head coach, and you've got guys on the offensive side of the ball, and I forgot who mentioned it today, but look, Brett Lashley doesn't need any help. Manny Diaz is not in those rooms game planning with him. Okay, Rob Likens doesn't need any help. Rob Likens is a former offensive coordinator as well. Darren Justice, former head coach in Division III, but it's college football, and then he was the offensive coordinator at UNLV. Those guys don't need any help on the offensive side at all. They can manage, they can game plan, they can adjust. Okay, they've got it all down pat there. I don't think that they're going to have any issues. So it affords Manny Diaz the opportunity, in my eyes, to be able to focus on calling the plays, okay, on defense. Then you bring in a guy like Tavares Robinson, who was a defensive coordinator, okay, good or bad, he was a defensive coordinator. He's a great defensive backs coach. He knows how to recruit. He does both things because a lot of people think it's just about recruiting, and that's a load of crap. Why? We've seen it. How many times has Miami had a top 5, top 10 class, and they end up busting? That's because there's no player development. Simple as that, right? There's no player development. So when you bring in a guy like T-Rob who can develop players, we've seen it, right? When he was at UF, when he was at Auburn, when he was at South Carolina, he had first round cornerbacks, or big time cornerbacks and safeties that can play at the next level. That's what he does well. He's going to be able to do that, but he's also going to be able to co-defensive coordinate with whatever's going on with Manny Diaz. And then you've got Jess Simpson that can focus on the defensive line, but when it comes time to be that defensive coordinator type, he can come in and he can do that also. He is the assistant head coach. So I think that it's all playing into what Manny Diaz wants to do this year. And look, he got away with it, man. Blake Baker, he didn't have to fire him. He left on his own. Okay, he demoted Mike Rumpf, which it's still a question mark to me what's going on with Mike Rumpf being a part of the recruiting staff. I just don't know how good of a recruiter he is. However, a lot of people are saying that Banda was the one that was calling the shots. They didn't allow Mike Rumpf to do certain things. I don't know, right? And I don't want to speculate. It is what it is. But at the same time, if you're out there, Danny and Manny, if you're out there and you, yeah, I know Danny and Mike. I don't know what the hell.
Jesus Christ.
You look like a Mike. No, I'm just kidding. Danny and Mike. If you're Mike Rumpf, you've got all these local ties, right, with American Heritage where you used to coach, so you obviously know a lot of Broward football players. Whatever the case is, you should be able to recruit better. You should be able to get players and develop them a little bit better also. So it's still a question mark with him. However, you bring in Bob Shoop, okay? That's a great hire, although he's an analyst. So we'll see how involved he's going to be. You bring in T-Rob, and now there's rumors out there that we may bring in a guy like Travis Williams to coach the linebackers, which will be really nice. And another SEC guy who obviously Brian Harsin didn't keep on the staff over at Auburn, so he is looking for a spot. Travis, they're talking about Travis Williams. There's a guy from Florida that they're looking at also. I don't know for the life of me what his name is. I guess he coaches either the linebackers or did coach the linebackers at Florida. Manny, maybe you can kind of shine a light on that. And then Michael
We're
Barrow.
talking about our guy that was supposed to go to Michigan, but he ends up staying.
Maybe. What's his name?
Robinson.
It might be. I don't even know, but someone mentioned him as an option at Miami to come in and coach the linebackers and be a defensive co-defensive guy too. So I don't know. And then they were talking about bringing back Michael Barrow. I love Michael Barrow, right? Great Canes guy, and he did okay when he was here. But do I want a retread? That's a problem. I don't want a retread, right? I want new guys. I want SEC blood here,
Right.
Because the only way you're going to be able to compete with the SEC is to bring guys that have been in the SEC, right? And T-Rob.
But Jazz. But how is Miami supposed to be competing against? Let's be honest here. Even the worst of the teams in the SEC actually did quite well this year, right? So, what can you sell to a recruit that has SEC caliber talent to come to Miami? What is it that you're pitching? What is it that you're gonna try to do to convince them? Because I'm telling you this right now, Arkansas, Ole Miss, all right, those two right there, they're going after every single player that before last season wasn't even an option. And yet you've seen them already improve so quickly. All right. And no offense, if I'm a college recruit and if I know I got the talent to play in the NFL, put me in a school in the SEC, man. Unless it's Clemson and that's it in the ACC, I'm going to play for a team in the SEC.
Well, here's the thing. This is why it's been overstated, though. This is why I disagree, and I'll tell you why. Okay. First of all, we had this conversation before early National Signing Day. Okay, we had this conversation about how Ole Miss was going to clean house and Arkansas was great and this, that, and the other, and yet still it didn't happen. It didn't come to fruition. Yeah, Ole Miss has some guys that committed, and that's great, but a lot of guys didn't. A lot of guys didn't go to Ole Miss. A lot of guys didn't commit to an SEC school, and they did see, and a lot of guys did commit to Miami, and a lot of guys already are on campus. Leonard Taylor, 5-star guy. Jake Garcia, okay, who had the pick of the litter. He could have gone wherever he wanted, ended up at Miami as well. So what they're selling? Well, what they're selling is obviously the offense is fine, right? Because you got Rhett Lashley there. So I think that kind of sells itself. Okay, but on the defensive side, you're selling change. You're selling Manny Diaz starting to call the defense again. Okay,
Manny Diaz hasn't done anything in 2 years.
It doesn't matter.
His defense has gradually gotten worse as the season went on.
Right?
Yes or no?
Yeah, but he wasn't calling
So how
plays
is
on
that?
defense, Manny. He wasn't calling the plays. He's the head coach now. He's going to be calling the plays. And tell me that when he was the defensive coordinator, Miami didn't have a great defense. But tell me.
And then no. But then here's where I say, listen, when you look at Florida, right? Dan Mullen's butter bread or his bread and butter is the offense. The offense has no issue because I've seen Dan Mullen get a great quarterback that can throw, create a throwing offense. I've seen a guy that can't throw, like his times at Mississippi State, and create a heck of a running game for that, right? So I can see and I trust Dan when it comes to him being able to modify his offense to what what his players are, correct? Because you're only going to create something if you know what the talent is on your team. Manny has had 2 years, okay? 2 years, okay? And it's not like you guys have had bums. You guys have had top talent on the defensive side of the ball, okay? And the issue always is that towards the end of the season, when you needed to stop, when you needed to win a big game on defense, you don't do it, okay? It doesn't happen. And to say once again, well, Manny wasn't calling the plays, you can't tell me that at halftime or in the middle of a fourth quarter drive in the huddle, Manny Diaz is not taking over, man. I'm sorry. Okay, this is not the NFL. Contracts are not guaranteed.
Manny, you're wrong. Let me explain to you why you're wrong. Okay, how many games did we lose last year and the year before because we didn't have a field goal kicker? Okay, that we lost the game by 1 score or 2 scores, and it wasn't because Manny Diaz.
You didn't have that defensive stop.
No,
that didn't.
Disagree. It wasn't because Manny Diaz's defense gave up a last-second touchdown. If you notice, a lot of the times in the second half, Manny's defense, when he was calling the plays, made the adjustments and gave up a lot less points, a lot less yards. They changed. The defense has changed. The defense changed in the second half a lot of times. You know what? But at times when you're put in a position, okay, where teams have to go for a short, in a short field, to score on you, it's going to happen. It's college football, man. Offense is always going to be defense right now. Second of all,
It just
you don't have a field goal kicker that can make field goals in the first half or the second half, or a 20-yard chip shot. Chances are you're going to lose momentum. You're going to lose the game. And now you miss a field goal. Maybe you're at the 30-yard line. It's a different ball game. Now teams have better field position, regardless of whether it was at the 10 or at the 20-yard line. If you can't make a field goal, you can't win a football game either. So
not only that, but it forces you as, an offensive coordinator to kind of have to go for it in certain situations because you don't trust your field goal kicker. And then depending on how that result goes on fourth down, you put the defense in a tough spot.
Yeah, and you also have Zach Fiegels, who averaged 20 yards a punt. So that's another problem, right? So you put your defense in a position where it's bad field position, right? And then he had those problems. Yet he still, like you said, he still developed some guys, the Gregory Rousseaus, and he had his defenses full of guys a few years ago. And maybe he does help play calling every once in a while, and he does make adjustments with Blake.
The only thing I am saying, Jazz, the only thing that I am saying, that way we can get onto the next topic. I just feel like it's been proven and it's shown. Manny Diaz is a heck of a coordinator. I don't think he's a head coach, man.
Fair enough.
I just don't think he's a head coach.
Well, now he's a defensive coordinator again,
and slash head coach. So for him to give, of course, Lashley's not going to have more responsibilities and per se, right? Because that side of the ball didn't really have issues. And when it did have issues, the issues were fixed. So now, what's going to be the excuse now? Okay, when you head, because we're going to look at the schedule now that was just released. What's the excuse happening in week 7 or 8, where all of a sudden the defense is not playing well? Again, Blake Baker's not there.
There can't be any excuses. I'm with you. I agree. There can't be any excuses, Joe. You're going to come in. You're going to call the defense now. You've got a whole new staff with Simpson coming in, and then you got T-Rob and maybe Travis Williams or whoever else comes in now. It's going to be a different defense. So you don't have any excuses. But I think that for lack of knowing what's going to happen, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt as a defensive coordinator, and I'm going to trust that he has enough guys around him right now. Okay. That can assist in kind of holding it down and assisting him as being a head coach. I think that they'll be okay. I think it's being overstated how bad he's going to struggle as a head coach or as a CEO because he's calling the plays. I think it's yet to be seen, especially with the type of coaches that he has around. So we'll see. Yeah, and you pull up defense here. I'm sorry, the defense. You pull up the schedule here. It's not a crazy tough schedule with the exception of maybe Alabama, obviously North Carolina. But again, we say that the other games are winnable, and they always end up dropping a game or two of one of these. Right. I mean, this year I think was the exception because they really didn't drop a game until they ran into a buzzsaw with UNC, obviously, and they screwed that up, and then they lost the bowl game. But Michigan State, probably going to be better than they were last year. Appalachian State always is a tough game. Central Connecticut, well, whatever. I think that's a good opportunity for for the guys like TBD and Jake Garcia to get in and get some playing time against them, and then obviously an ACC schedule after that. What do you guys think?
Well, I see, the opener against Alabama, that's going to be a tough one. I could see them, let's see, Alabama loss. Appalachian State, I could see them winning. Michigan State, I could see them winning, but I don't see them winning easily. Central Connecticut, I mean, that should be a complete blowout for Miami. And then Virginia is the one that's kind of interesting to me because they're not world beaters by any stretch of the imagination, but they always seem to hang around, you know what I mean? So I could see that game as sort of maybe a toss-up. I could see 3-2 in the first 5 games, but I could also see 4-1 with the only loss being, of course, to Alabama.
Yeah. And then you run into North Carolina, who obviously has probably the number 2 quarterback in the ACC behind DJ Uiagalelei or Uiagalelei, whatever the hell his name is. I mean, look, NC State gave us a run last year. It was it was a shootout, so that's going to be tough. Pitt loses a lot of guys, especially on defense with Weaver and Patrick Jones and all those guys leaving. But they always got a tough defense, so that would be interesting. For some reason, I can't see the rest. Georgia Tech. Okay, Georgia Tech's got a young quarterback, young team. I mean, listen, it's it is what it is. The schedule is what the schedule is. So
I think North Carolina is going to be tough. I think Michigan State's going to be tough. That Pittsburgh game, obviously, listen, Miami doesn't have great luck going to Pittsburgh, but you never know what type of deal that team's or what type of program they're going to be having, obviously, right? And then as you go lower, I listen. I think the key stretch here, right, towards the end of the season, where you got to know, what bowl game you're making, what's out there to get, right? Are you in top 10? Do you need some winning streaks here and there? Are you undefeated? I think at Florida State and Virginia Tech are those two games in back-to-back weeks in November. That's going to be telling to see where the team stands. Because when you kind of look at it as a whole, listen, against Alabama, it's going to be hard. You might lose this game, but I don't see where, if you end up losing, it shouldn't be a shellacking, right? I mean, again, it's going to be a well-coached team, but yet the guys that are replacing all these studs, right, from the Alabama team that just won the national championship, they're not going to be there, okay? But you know that the guys they're going to be subbing in, they're going to be well-coached. But again, you got to see where you stand there. Appalachian State should be a win. Michigan State, they should be much better, obviously, in year 2 under Mel Tucker. You know what I'm saying? So, again, I think at North Carolina, at Pitt, and then you look at Florida State and Virginia, to me, those are the games right there that, as a Canes fan, which I'm not, but you guys are, I will circle, and I will probably say to myself, okay, well, let's see, because to me, besides the Alabama game, and it's a good thing you guys get on the first game of the season, right? That, to me, is going to let everything else flow for the rest of the year, because that should tell you where you guys are, where you guys stand. Yeah, especially defensively, because offensively, I know the whole King situation, right, per se, but the way that the offense just was able to roll, no matter who was in there, you guys were able to run the football. You guys just need wide receivers that can catch a damn ball, man. I mean, if you guys get people that can catch the ball down the field, you guys are going to be able to score points. It's all about the defense. Can the defense win you those crucial drives in the fourth quarter, create those stops in order for you guys to get those crucial wins, down the stretch? That's my point.
That's why it's a big addition is Charleston Rambo. So that was a big addition coming in. Yeah. But you know what, Manny? I want to go back to Alabama because do you guys face them this year?
Yes, we do. Okay. We face them in week 3. Let me go ahead and put up their schedule.
Yeah, pull that up because, by the way, I think FSU sucks. We just play them at Doak Campbell, so it's always a tough game. So I totally get that. Virginia Tech's always a tough game, whether they stink or not. And this year they got a new quarterback. Hendon Hooker decided to transfer as well. He entered the transfer portal, so that's going to be a little bit of a different look for them. Virginia gets back that lefty quarterback that's pretty good, Brennan Armstrong, who's a pretty good quarterback. So they might be better than people think. And like you said, Mel Tucker's second year at Michigan State might be nice. But look, let's go to Alabama because week 1 and week 2, I think Manny, we can kind of agree that FAU and USF should be a win, right, for the Gators.
Listen, again, our defense is going through changes. We're going to be playing a lot of youngsters on there, especially in the secondary. USF, still has that offensive coordinator that loves to throw the football, man. And if I'm them and I watch this Gators secondary for the last 3-4 weeks, including the shoes being thrown, I mean, you know what? Like that could be a game where we're all confident after beating FAU, and we might lose that, and that would suck, right? Because the next 2 weeks you're facing Alabama and then Tennessee. Well, obviously we know the whole thing with the McDonald's bag and Happy Meals type of thing, right?
You're gonna be playing Tennessee's JV team, all right, bro? Let's be honest.
Yeah, but. You know what? Those 2 games should be wins regardless. Listen, I trust Emory Jones. And like I said, the whole thing with Dan Mullen, I trust what he's going to do with the guys that he has on his team. And he's going to create an offense that's not going to be a Kyle Trask pass heavy. And, the Gators did lose their quarterback coach, per se, Ryan Johnson, who left to the Philadelphia Eagles, which he's going to try to fix Carson Wentz, which that's another show we could talk about because I am an Eagles fan. And, I am excited for him. But he has no idea what situation he's walking into
was gonna say,
once
good
he
luck
hits
with that.
Philadelphia. Yeah, so I wish him luck with that, but you know what? Well earned, well deserved. Hopefully, he succeeds to get an OC job one day, right? But back to this situation. Dan Mullen knows that you're not going to be able to throw 50 plus times with Emory Jones. You're going to have to incorporate the running game, something that you did not do last season. No more Kyle Pitts, no more Kadarius Toney, no more Grimes, no more left tackle. I forget his name. He just left as well into the draft. So what do you do to help a quarterback? You're going to have to create a running game that works, a running game that's successful in the SEC. I am okay with trusting that. I'm okay. I've seen him do it. I've seen him do it at Mississippi State. Defense is another story where you're losing 3 guys and Campbell and all these other guys for the draft. Yeah, you're getting players from the transfer portal on the defensive line. That helps. Linebackers are suspect. Secondary is suspect. I don't know what to expect out of them.
And by the way, can I be honest with you about something? I actually think that you're going to see a lot of Anthony Richardson because I think that
probably.
I feel like he is
when I saw him play against Oklahoma, that to me was something that there's something brewing behind the scenes offensively for 2021 for him.
I think he's better than Emory Jones. I'll be honest with you. That's my
but Dan's gonna give his guy, which is Emory Jones, an opportunity. And if he succeeds in whatever they end up doing, great. If he does not, there's confidence in the player that's there to step up. Again, offense to me has never been the issue with Dan Mullen. It's always been the defense. It's always been Todd Grantham. It's always been them not being able to recruit top defensive linemen, right? You guys say the same thing with Mike Rump. How the heck can he get promoted to a different side when his original position, let's be honest, he wasn't getting the guys that were top notch, right? Well, how the hell is Todd Grantham still the defensive coordinator calling plays on defense when historically Florida had one of the worst defensive statistics in the history of the program? Not to mention you wasted a championship offense. Okay. Mm-hmm. If they play at least okay, Florida is in the playoff.
Yeah.
I don't care what nobody tells me. Florida Gators are playing in the playoff, college football playoff. If their defense didn't throw a shoe, right?
I agree.
But that's a different story. So to me, it's all about the defense. And to be able to play Alabama in week 3 at home, I think is going to be an interesting matchup because not for that, but for the fact that you play FAU and USF, 2 teams that give you that opportunity to create mistakes, fix them, right before you play a well-coached Nick Saban team.
Here's why I think both of us, both the Kings and the Gators have a good shot against Alabama. And I know that everybody talks about how they reload and that they don't actually have to rebuild and they don't lose enough players and everybody behind them, second and third string guys could start at any Power 5. I get that. Okay, but listen to me. Let's go over it really quick. They're losing their left tackle, Alex Leatherwood. They're losing Landon Dickerson, I think is his name. Whatever his name is, the center. Okay? Mm-hmm. They're losing him on the offensive line. They're losing Najee Harris. Okay? They're losing Mac Jones. Okay? They're losing Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith. They're losing who else am I missing on the offensive side? They might be losing someone else. That's already 5 guys that they're losing on the offensive side of the ball. That was 100% of their offense. Okay, or maybe John Mechie might still be there. That kid Billingsley looks like he's a pretty good tight end also, so that's fine. But then you bring in a kid like Bryce Young, who was a 5-star quarterback coming out, but they've been 50-50 on him on whether he's going to be really good or not. So that's going to be still yet to be determined to see how he shows up and performs. Okay, and then on the defensive side, they're going to lose Surtain. They're going to lose Dylan Moses. They're going to lose Barmore. They're going to lose what's his kid's name? The safety. Jesus, I can't remember his name now. They're going to, so they're going to lose Josh Jobe, right? They're going to lose him as well. They're going to lose all these guys to the NFL. So they're going to have to replace at least half their defense and half their offense. And I'm not saying that they're not going to be able to replace them with studs, because chances are they will. But listen, if there's a year to get Alabama and take advantage of possibly young guys trying to get in and play in these big games against against the Canes and against the Gators, this is a year to really do it. And because maybe they are down, maybe they're not. A lot of people want to think that it is, and a lot of people say no. I mean, they're just going to reload and they're going to kick everybody's ass again. Listen, I don't know. I think that other teams are starting to get better as well. I think the Gators are still going to be good. They had another solid recruiting class. Okay, Georgia's got JT Daniels over there, so that's another guy. And
that's where, Jazz, and that's where I just want to say this real quick. I think last year was the perfect opportunity for Florida to finally beat Georgia.
Yeah.
In a game where Dan Mullen has not been successful.
Right.
And if there was any year where Florida had to beat Georgia, it was last season.
Yeah.
Now you head into this season, Georgia finally has their quarterback. Their defense is still going to be loaded. Kirby Smart's already circling that game in Jacksonville. Okay, that game might finally have a full fan capacity when it occurs. It's just one of them things that if you have an opportunity to beat a top-notch program that is down, not down because of coaching and not down because of the program, issues, down because of them being so good at what they do that players leave into the draft and they're bringing in freshmen and true freshmen and trying to figure out who are the key guys.
Exactly.
They're trying to see what their identity is with this new group of players. You're right. This is a perfect opportunity for Miami and Florida in a span of almost a month for them to beat a program that has been one of the best, absolute best, the last 2 decades of college football. And that right there cannot be used as a bad stepping stone. Like those 2 games for you guys and for us have to end up in W's, and that's what leads towards the rest of the season. If Bama ends up winning against Miami and against Florida, I'm pretty sure our fan bases are going to be really upset, not because of them losing to Bama, but because of the opportunity that you just presented. We don't know what Bama has, and they don't know either. But it's like I told you, it's Nick Saban. They're going to be well coached. They're not going to throw shoes, and they're not going to give up a 3rd and 25. Right? So
True.
Once the Alabama train gets moving, it is very, very difficult to stop. So
that's the thing. Exactly, Danny.
Yeah. We might as well get it before it leaves the station, so to speak.
Yeah. And look, and to be honest with you, aside from Alabama, trying to figure it out, this year I think is going to be very, very tough in the SEC, and believe it or not, in the SEC and the ACC also. And I'll get to the ACC after, but the SEC, a lot of teams are starting to figure it out. JT Daniels at Georgia. LSU's got Max Johnson now, who, whatever you want to say about him, the kid played his ass off against Florida, and he continued to play really well the next 3 or 4 games. So now they've got their quarterback, right? You've got Tennessee is probably going to be complete porqueria, and that's fine. And Auburn, I think, is still going to struggle with Bo Nix a little bit. Brian Harsin, I think, going in there, he's known for having great offenses. He might be able to fix, some deficiencies that Bo Nix is having at quarterback. Okay, so the top end of the SEC is going to be strong again, right? Kentucky's on the rise, right? They're a better program. Okay, so you got other teams that are starting to figure it out because they're having players that are coming back and staying a little bit longer now, especially with this rule because of COVID. Some of the guys are coming back, right? So I think Zamir White coming back to Georgia, or did he declare? Because I think I saw somewhere where he said he's coming back.
I think he's coming back.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, listen, aside from that, this is a year, it's going to be tough for Florida, but I think that Dan Mullen, like you said, Manny, Dan Mullen has, he knows what the hell he's doing over there on offense, man. So I don't think you guys are going to be, I think you guys are going to be fine on offense. I think another year of is Pierce coming back, and you got, what's this other kid, Naquan Wright, who I think is the best.
Again, let's not also forget, we also got the Clemson running back who transferred to us.
That's right.
I forgot his name. Bowden or something, right? Or something like that.
It's not. No, is it Lynn J. Dixon? Is it?
No,
it's the other guy. It's the one behind him.
Yeah.
But
I forget his name. So there is no excuse of not being able to find a running back, right? In this whole offense, like the options are there. You have your power back. You have your guy that can catch passes out of the backfield, and you have your every down back. Marcus Bowman. There we go. Marcus Bowman. And guess what? There's no Lorenzo Lingard in that talk.
What happened?
And yet,
I thought he was going to.
I have no idea. I guess Gator Nation found out the same thing as Canes fans, right? It's like, well,
I thought he was going to start. I was hoping.
I don't know. I thought he had an opportunity, but when Pierce kept getting the touches and Naquan Wright came off the bench, I'm like,
Yeah.
you mean to tell me that Lingard can't even get in there on third down?
What a
Yeah,
shame.
that's not good.
What a shame. Yeah, that's right. Lamarcus Bowman. I mean, look, listen.
Marcus Bowman, yeah, man.
That's tough. You know what? In the ACC, it's going to be tough because you got Sam Howell, who's a Heisman front runner, with DJ over at Clemson. Okay, both probably the top quarterbacks in the ACC and probably one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the country right now. Okay, then you've got Florida State. Whatever. Yes.
Oh, wait, may I make a prediction
Sure.
right now? Sam Howell will be in the talk for Heisman.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, that's
I am. Listen, you guys know that. You guys know that I went to the Orange Bowl game, not the championship, but the one against Mississippi State and North Carolina. Sam Howell to me made some ridiculous throws while getting pressured in the pocket against a top-notch SEC team. And I know we've seen that with him with other teams in the ACC, man. But when you can put up that type of performance against an SEC squad, that in my eyes they should have been in the college football playoff, not Ohio State. And I think we all agreed to this before the whole college, before all the games took place, that we said the Mississippi State should be the 4th team, not Ohio State, right? So,
you mean
but
Texas A&M?
I'm sorry, yes, Texas
They
A&M.
have the same color, so I get it.
Yeah, same colors. I'm sorry. But I think Sam Howell is going to be not only a top quarterback for the draft next season, but he'll be in the Heisman talk for sure.
Absolutely.
Those are top five quarterbacks. I mean, for me, it's DJ, it's Spencer Rattler, Sam
Howell, Rattler for sure.
Who else? We got Keaton Slovis, JT Daniels, Keaton Slovis.
JT has to be there, man. Damn, I want to talk about Georgia, man. But JT, if JT was himself before Florida played Georgia, oh man, yeah. I don't even want to know how many points Todd Grantham would have actually hurt us, because if you look at the whole way that game was, I guess, happening, right, was that we knocked out their other quarterback, right? So then they bring a guy off the bench, and it's like, well, no offense, like you can't lose to a 3rd string quarterback when you're playing Georgia, right? Like you keep everything in front of you, you create, man-to-man pressures and zones, because the guy, that player, 3rd stringer, hasn't seen that type of action all year long, and you can't really talk about it, or of course you coach it during the week, but playing in the actual game is different. Right. But if JT Daniels was himself, man, and the way that we saw him play towards the end of the season, if that JT Daniels would have faced Florida, oh man.
You got Brock Purdy also coming back at Iowa State, who's another.
Yeah, Brock Purdy. But Iowa State to me is.
I think they're overrated. I don't
overrated.
think.
I think the Big Ten overall is overrated, except for Oklahoma, because Oklahoma's been the only team that's able to get in there in the college football playoff besides this season. But you saw Texas was supposed to be something. They didn't do anything with Sam Ehlinger. And that's it. You can't really talk about any other quarterback in that conference besides Purdy. To me, Purdy, it worked because of the schedule. It worked because there weren't that many good teams in that conference.
Danny, now you cover the Big Ten, right? Right, Danny?
Yeah.
You cover a little bit
in the Big 12, yeah. Iowa State's in the Big 12, but yeah, the Big Ten also had a very weak year, so it was very interesting to see just how the gap between the best competition in the Big Ten and especially in the Big 12 in comparison to the bottom half was astounding, because basically out of those two conferences, you had Oklahoma and Ohio State, and I think it's going to be that way for the foreseeable future, many, many, many years.
Yeah, I mean that hasn't changed, right? And no. I mean Ohio State coming in with C.J. Stroud now, who's going to be their starter.
Ohio State's going to run that division for years to come. But the questions are always going to be, and I still say this: Urban Meyer had that ability to get his guys up for top competition games, right? And you saw him do it at Florida. Okay, when they faced the best team in the land in Ohio State that was undefeated. In the second championship game that Florida won, right? And then you also saw when they faced Oklahoma. Urban got the best from his team, player-wise and coaching-wise, right? And he did the same thing for Ohio State when they beat Alabama. Like I had no faith in Ohio State being able to run the ball against a team like Alabama, right, in the SEC. But he leaves, and then obviously it's Coach Day, right? And they have yet to win, in my eyes, any game that tells me they're worth putting in there. Yes, they almost beat Clemson, what was it, 2 years ago, and they beat them this season, but that doesn't count to me because they didn't win the game that they had to win against a big top-notch competition team like Alabama. But they're gonna run over that conference because once again, Michigan, I don't know what they're doing. They re-signed Harbaugh. I get it; it was COVID year, but even before COVID year, John Harbaugh hasn't done anything for that program.
I don't know what the hell they're doing. I don't know what the hell they're thinking over there. I got to
So the last 5 years too. Not
Yeah.
like
It's the last 5 years. John Harbaugh has won what? 5 games? 6 games?
Listen, Danny. I mean, Michigan doesn't have bad players. Nico Collins, Donovan Peoples-Jones. I mean, Joe Milton is a really good quarterback. I don't know what the hell he's doing over there with Harbaugh. I mean, the McCaffrey kid, right? One of the McCaffrey brothers just finished transferring out. The other McCaffrey brother was at Nebraska, wasn't he? And he's transferring out.
Yeah,
also.
and he's gone. Yeah.
Yeah, he's. Talk. Can you tell me what's going on over at Michigan? Because honestly, I have a soft spot for Michigan. When I was a little kid, I used to love watching Michigan basketball. That's when the Fab Five was around. So I kind of have a soft spot for them, and I want to see them do good. I want to see them beat the ever-living daylights out of Ohio State. So, what's it going to take for Michigan to get better? Is it getting Harbaugh the hell out of there?
I think so, and I said it as soon as they signed him to his new deal that was a huge mistake. I think I always kind of equated him to Mark Richt in the Georgia days. He always had loaded rosters, but they could never seem to get over the hump. And I think even Ryan Day's kind of falling too. And
that was my point, Danny. That was my point.
Yeah, I didn't really understand that extension because it seems like, especially at quarterback, they had the quarterback last year at Michigan, whose name I cannot remember, Shea Patterson. There we go, Shea Patterson, who was supposed to be really good, and yet he had good statistics, but when it came time to test at the combine, he didn't look good at all. And I think
he's playing the Canadian Football League, by the way.
Yeah, right. So that tells you where he's ended up. But no, I think both, and I'll just say this, both Nebraska and Michigan have had trouble developing players and getting the most out of their players. I'll be interested to see where Luke McCaffrey goes because I don't think he is a quarterback. I think he's a good athlete, but I'll be interested to see where he goes. I know, the
and Dylan McCaffrey also
to our programs. What's that?
And Dylan McCaffrey also. I mean, he's a quarterback. He's a natural quarterback.
Yeah.
And I think
Luke McCaffrey is more of an athlete.
Right. So it's gonna be funny. It's gonna be interesting to see what they do. I before we go, because I know we're gonna wrap up soon. I want to get back to, I guess, because we're still going to be following what's going on in the coaching carousel with a lot of programs, and I definitely want to get into this a little more from a whole college perspective, whole college landscape. But I think it's interesting because we were talking about quarterbacks so much that it got me thinking about other quarterbacks that I see out there, and I want each of you guys, if you can think of any, dark horses for not only the Heisman, but some of the top quarterbacks in the country. And I think I want to start off by mentioning a couple guys. The first guy I want to mention is Jaden Daniels over at Arizona State. I think he could end up being a really, really good quarterback. I think Arizona State was bit by the COVID bug last year, so he was able to show out. And the other kid is going to be my super dark horse. Another Bishop Gorman product is Dorian Thompson Robinson, I think his name is Dorian Thompson, quarterback over at UCLA. I think those two guys you got to watch out for this year.
For me, and I might be a little bit biased because I've seen him play quite a bit, but Phil Jurkovec over at Boston College in his first year with Jeff Hafley, he threw for over 2,000 yards, 17 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. And that was kind of interesting because Boston College is known for their run offense more. Now, Hafley will have another year to get his receivers in, get his guys in, and Jerkovic, only being a sophomore, he could really expand on those numbers. So I wouldn't be surprised if he threw for at least 20 touchdown passes next year, just based on familiarity alone with the offense.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm with Jazz. Maybe Jaden Daniels at Arizona State, maybe for sure. But again, to me, like the best one out of the whole group to me is going to be Sam Howell. But obviously, that's a given, right?
Yeah.
Maybe Oklahoma State's quarterbacks.
Spencer Sanders.
Yeah, maybe him. Maybe him. But obviously, it all depends. How their games against tough competition go, right? Because they're always blowing out Kansas State, but then they end up facing Oklahoma. They end up playing Texas, and then all of a sudden, that the same quarterbacks, just different names, they all of a sudden they don't pan out right towards the end. So, maybe I'm trying to think of another name. Maybe the guy.
Ritter, the kid over in Cincinnati.
Yeah, maybe him too. I'm trying to think of the
Michael Penix over at Indiana.
I'm thinking about the.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think of the Oregon quarterback, Tyler Shue, maybe
Shaw for whatever.
Shaw or Shue, maybe. Yeah. So there's plenty of names, right? Obviously, they're known, but not yet well known. But you listen, if all these programs are able to have a spring, which we know last season nobody was able to, there shouldn't be any excuses why you can't play to your full potential. Because it's still in my eyes, right? After weeks 4 and 5 of this past season, if you had yet not figured out the communication or the cadences of what your offenses are, or even on the defensive side, like the Gators must have had so many miscommunication plays on third down. It was just, oh man, it was a headache every single time. People said, well, you had no spring practice. Yeah, but you still practice during the season. You still go watch film. You still see these things on tape, right? But when it comes to these offenses, I think if these players have a chance to get out there in the spring, get ready for a high-powered football season on the offensive side of the ball. And it's going to be something that we thought last year had points.
Yeah.
I think a lot of guys this season that now are going to have the ability of making mistakes now in April, it's going to pan out for them in September. And that's going to be fun to watch. And that is the difference between NCAA college football and the NFL. NFL has off-season programs here and there and whatever, right? But in college football, the spring always starts your season. It never, it never ends in January. Right now, you're weightlifting. Right now, you're doing all types of techniques to get better. But in spring football, that's when you begin as a collegiate football athlete. That's when it begins for you. And like I said, if they're given that ability to practice and go out there and create those mistakes now, man, it just makes your job as a head coach towards the summer, heading into the season, so much easier and less of a headache.
Absolutely.
Before we leave, guys, make sure that everybody tunes in Sunday morning, 7 to 9, the Sunday Sports.
Oh, that's right. Congrats, man.
Thanks,
Yeah,
man.
that's awesome.
Congrats, man.
I'm excited.
About damn time. All these people were getting on there. I'm like, where the hell's Jazz?
For everybody who wakes up a little early, has diarrhea on Sunday morning or something like that, just take your phone with you to the bathroom, and put on the MyTuner Radio app or onsiteradio.com and check out from 7 to 9 the Sunday Sports Shop. We got Manny Navarro on. I got Manny Navarro on. I got Brady Hawk and Alfredo Arteaga. So loaded, as Mark Hockman says, a loaded potato. So
just bring me on when you want to talk soccer, man.
Oh God, I don't even know half.
You're in a soccer stadium. How can you not want to talk soccer?
Yeah, man, I'm down to talk soccer, baby. I know all about it. Gonzalo Higuain, Phil Neville.
No. Oh, hey, yeah.
Chris Henderson, and David Beckham. There you go, bro. I named everybody that's important.
Oh man,
for Inter Miami. That's about it.
It's gonna
we
be
can talk international soccer. We can talk a little bit. That I know. I don't know Premier League. I don't know any of that stuff, man. I'm sorry. I just know all the big time players. Listen. I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna say how it is. I ain't got no shame. Robin Hollywood says, gentlemen. All right, man. There it is, baby. Robin Hollywood. Julian Green. Hey, Julian Green. That's the one. That kid's a stud, that Julian Green kid. Didn't he play in Germany? And he's a USA guy, right? Obviously. I think he played for Germany.
Wasn't Julian Green supposed to be the next Freddie Adu?
Maybe. Who knows? See, Bundesliga. I knew it. You see, I know my stuff, bro. I know my stuff. Julian Green, Bundesliga. Yeah, it's a German league. You see, I know what I'm talking about.
I think Kai just texted you that.
No, man. That's I can't even pronounce this guy's name. Jen Bolandres. Jen Will. Yeah, bro. Big shout out.
If you ever want to talk Red Sox on your program, I know this is a Miami show.
Hey, if
brother,
you ever
I
want
got you there,
Yankees
baby.
baseball,
I got Red Sox baseball all the way. Let's go, baby. Let's go.
We signed DJ LeMahieu. We signed this other kid from Cincinnati. We signed this other closer. We're in business.
Last time they won the World Series, I was in 9th grade, so I don't even want to hear about
wow. Oh, you've won 3 more in the decade. Oh.
Hey, listen, man. Don't be going back to the past. It's not about the past.
Not going back to the past. We have one in 2009. What are you talking about, homie?
Yeah, but that was the first decade. Get out of here. Come on, man. You got to go into the second decade, the 20s.
It says who?
The 2010s. That's what counts, man.
Oh,
it says the calendar. That's who. Like, come on.
Is that like the new Red Sox like nation standard? Oh, we've won 3 more than you this decade. It's okay, don't go to the past. No,
well, Yankees fans always love bringing up championships from like 1902, and it's not even relevant to baseball.
Dude, every time I meet a Red Sox fan, they gotta remind me that we were up 3-0. I'm like, dude, really? Is that the only thing?
It was the biggest choke in sports history. That's why they gotta remind you.
That's the biggest choke in sports history, bro. It's okay, man.
Come on.
It's okay. It's okay.
I'd rather have the biggest choke in sports history and still have as many titles as we do.
Do you really?
You weren't even alive for probably like
for more than half of them.
I saw Reggie Jackson hit a home run.
And on Sports Center Classic.
that was too little.
On ESPN Classics. All right, get out of here.
But I was alive to witness the 3-peat. I was alive.
Nice.
Oh, something you guys will never do.
Ooh, is he gonna leave on that?
And he left. That's weak sauce, bro.
Well, we've seen 3-2, so I don't know what he's complaining about. 3-peat. We've seen 3-2, so
3-peat. That guy was wearing diapers. He didn't even know what a New York Yankee was. Get out of here. See you later, Danny.
See you later, Jazz.
All right, man.
Take care.